Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions, and of course, I'm the one and only Eddie, so glad to have you guys back. And these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. And in today's Eddie's Life Hack, lesson number 8, we're going to talk about failures. Wow, there's so much to say about this topic, but I'm going to pinpoint this more in the aspect of we should embrace failure. We shouldn't allow failure to hinder us. We need to change our mindset, our perspective on how we look at failure. So, as a young man, I was taught, and most of my peers were taught the same thing. So I'm 34 years old, right? When I first started to learn about failure, that was when I started doing sports, right? And I played football, I did wrestling, I did track. I was actually really athletic. So I was a little above the normal, but I got to see a lot of failure, right? Failure. But it's how we're trained and how we think about it is, I think that we should look at it in a different way, right? We should approach it in a different aspect. I remember this story. She was, we're in track together. And there was so we train all week, right? And then we have our races. I think it was once a week or every 2 weeks. And it was one of her, I remember it's one of her like first 3 races. I want to say it's her second or third. We'll say her second just for the story's sake, right? I remember she was doing, I think, one lap around, which is like a 400, I want to say. Yeah, 400. And she was in, I think she was in second place, and then she went into first place, and she went all the way to the end, and she actually was so exhausted and tired that she like, her body gave out and she hit the floor. Like, I'm talking about, she hit the floor, you guys. And I remember, like, she was a beautiful girl. She was strong, and I just remember, like, oh my gosh, like, do I go pick her up because it's like a competition, you know what I mean? And I remember the coach coming up to her, and I was like, and picked her up, put her on, you know, her arm on the shoulder, and they're walking together. And I remember she's crying, like, and like everyone, the coach tells everyone, hey, you need to go away. And you could still hear her like crying. But she was embarrassed. She got her pride hurt, right? And it was embarrassing, you know what I mean? But I didn't see it that way. I saw it more of like, wow, she's in pain, you know? But I think it was more of an emotional thing than a mental thing than it was a physical thing. Yeah, her body gave out and she was tired. But the story is so amazing because I remember that coach told her, look so you ran an amazing race and your body gave out. Your body, it just gave out right now, but after this, you're going to get stronger. You were in first place. You won that race. You won it. And she looked at him so confused and baffled, right? And as she sat there, I know, like, once everyone was like, you know, pat her on the back, you did a really good job, that was a good race. You can tell she came back, right? She got her color back, she started feeling good, her vibes started raising. And I remember that look on her face, and she just, like, I remember her saying, I'll never let that happen to me again. And I was like, wow, that's a trip, you know what I mean? And I was like, well, that's cool, you know? That girl went on to be one of the best runners I've ever seen in my life. She won every single race that year after that. But she pushed her body to the limits, right? What she deemed as a failure, what people deemed as a failure in this life, isn't a failure. That moment that she had where she embraced it, right? She had to look at it. She saw that her body could not go any further than that, right? She went back to the drawing board. She trained even harder. She didn't let it stop her. She didn't quit. Even though the whole crowd saw her fall, right? Everyone, her schoolmates, her boyfriend, everybody, right? She still went back and started doing what she needed to do to put in the work. And you guys, that's how we should approach everything in life. So if we approach failure with more of like an embrace than of like a deterrent or a hindrance, we can actually change our lives, right? Because then we realize that failure is an option. because failure is an option, right? You should embrace it, because you could fail at something. Don't put your standard so high where you can't even, because then you're putting a block up for yourself. Failure is a good thing because it's teaching you multiple lessons. It's teaching you that, one, that you're trying, you're putting in the work. It's also teaching you that you can do better. You are better. There is the actual lesson of character building. So if instead of looking at it as a thing for a deterrent or for you to stop doing what you're doing, you should never allow failure to do that. Because when we do that, we'll never be able to achieve the purpose that you're meant here on earth, or the goals or desires that you can aspire to be, or it's what you are. It's what you deserve. That's all I got, you guys, on failure. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. I love you. Make sure to subscribe, and that's it. That's all I got.